Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Rancho Southeast's first evening webinar class for the month of April. I want to thank everybody for attending today's webinar on how to run a very basic search in the MLS and to create an auto email. So today's class is going to be very basic, but maybe with some of the basics, even for seasoned agents that are attending today's webinar, maybe this will also show some extra tools that you may not have normally implemented in your business model for finding properties. So with that said, let's get started because we know the time's of the essence. So what we're going to do here is very quickly jump over and log into the MLS. When we log into the MLS, we have here our home screen. Here on our home screen, we have various different widgets. What I love about our MLS, or one of the many things I love about our MLS, is that right here from the home screen, we are going to focus on two widgets today in our searching and our auto emails called, one of which is called the favorite searches. What a favorite search widget allows us to do is be able to run some search criteria in the MLS. And when we save that search, we can make that saved search a favorite. So what's nice about this tool is that we can have up to 12 of our saved searches displayed here under the favorite search widget, which allows us to very easily and quickly click on the name of the saved search to run it to look at updated information. And we'll touch on this as we begin to run a search in the MLS. Now, the other tool that I like is called the recent portal visitors. Now, what the recent portal visitors widget allows us to do is to see which clients have accessed our auto emails, when they accessed them, what they've done in the portal, and we can look at data. And we'll touch on this when we get to that. Now, I know that you may have a lot of questions, and feel free to answer or ask any and all questions. I'll be more than happy to answer them. But we are recording today's webinar, so if I happen to go over something too quickly, please feel free to stop me and ask me to go over it again. But just know that today's webinar is recorded, so you will get a copy of this webinar. So you can watch it, pause it, rewind it, do whatever we need to do in order to help you out, okay? All right, well, real quickly, to run a search in the MLS, we can come over to the very top, to the green tabs here in the MLS, and next to where it says home says search. Now, typically, if we hover over top of the word search, we get a drop-down list of several choices, but which basically displays all the different property types that we can run searches under: residential, income, lease, land, mobile home or manufactured, commercial, cross property. Now, a cross property search allows us to run a search under different property types at the same time. Open house searches, and of course, we can also run a public record search. Now, under each search type, like as an example, residential, we have several types of searches that we can run, like a detailed search. A detailed search under residential basically allows us to input criteria under 40 different fields. Though we don't have to use all 40, they give us more than 40 fields to choose from. A quick search basically gives you 22 different fields in order to populate your information into. A listing ID, or as commonly known, an MLS number search, where we can put in a specific MLS number or numbers to pull up those specific properties. An address search basically says what it means. If I know the full address or any part of the address, I can pull up either that specific property or properties on that street. Today's new listings basically means that any information I put into my criteria will only display properties that have come on the market as of midnight this morning to now. A CMA search basically is a search where I could put in criteria to create CMAs, but I can tell you honestly that I can create a CMA, comparative market analysis, from any property search or any property type under any search type. So I don't have to necessarily go under CMA search in order to create a CMA. I can do it from any type of search. And then, of course, the last choice is create your own. Now, what create your own does is allows me to not have to look at 44 fields or 22 different fields, but what create your own allows us to do is pick out what fields we want to put in criteria. So just to demonstrate this real quickly, I can go over to create your own. And if I go to create your own, hopefully this will open up. Come on. And if it doesn't work here, we'll just go under the word search. Oh, there it goes. And you'll notice here that I only have 1, 2, 3, 4 different fields picked. Typically, this will end up being blank. So if I remove all these fields real quickly, remove, remove, remove. What I can now do is come over here towards the left. Here are more than 200 different fields which are found on listings in the MLS. So what I need to do is be able to pick and choose what fields I want to add for me to add in criteria. So as an example, I can come down below here to search and say, find me the city field. There's the city field. I can click on it and add it to my selected fields. Maybe besides the city field, I want a list price. Now I select it, add it, and maybe I go for status. So now I want the status of the listings. And once I'm done adding in my fields, I can now click the back button. Now here are my available fields for me to pick and choose to pull up information. The next time I come to create my own, these fields will automatically remain here until I decide to remove them or add more. So create your own search allows us to pick out what fields we want to pull property data under to put in the criteria for. So what we're going to do now is we're going to just simply go under and create a residential detailed search. How we do that, we're going to go under residential, we're going to click on detail. When we do that, here are the 44 different fields that we can put in criteria for. One of the many things that I love about our MLS system, if I do not define any information or put in any information, it's automatically assumed I'm looking for everything. So right away, I can notice that down below in the bottom left-hand corner, I can look at, if I go to the results, more than 2,500 plus listings in our MLS database going back close to 20 years. It's when I start to input information into my fields that the number of matches will begin to narrow down. So that way, if I happen to see that the matches immediately goes to 0, that means I have put something so specific in my search criteria that nothing matches in the MLS. So our MLS uses the old saying, less is more, meaning less information you input in, the more data you're going to get back in return. Okay. Are there any questions on that? No? Sounds pretty simple, right? All right, good. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to pick out our statuses. If we have our statuses field of active, active under contract, pending, closed, expired, canceled, hold, and withdrawn. Here, maybe we select 1 or 2 statuses or more. We just simply select our multiple statuses if we choose. If we're only selecting 1 status, then that's fine too. For choices that have for fields that have multiple choices in them, just know that if I don't select anything in that field, it's automatically assumed I'm looking for everything regarding that field. But if I want to select a choice, just simply go to that field and select a choice. Now, if I want to select multiple choices, then how we do that is very simple. If you're on a PC, you're going to hold down your control key. If you're on a Mac computer, you're going to hold down the command key. And while you're holding those keys down, you're going to now select your multiple choices. Now, if you accidentally selected something by mistake, to deselect that choice, hold down your control key for PC users or hold down your command key for Mac users, and now reselect to deselect. If you want everything unselected, again, hold down your control key and unselect or reselect to deselect everything, or your command key. Okay. And again, if you have nothing selected in the field, it's automatically assumed you are looking for everything in the field. So agents, just to remember, you do not have to select everything in a field to choose everything. Okay. Are there any questions on that? All right, over here in the middle, we've got county, city, MLS area, and subdivision. Okay. Now, this is something that I really like about these fields here, is that if I say select a county like Orange, then all of a sudden my city field immediately narrows down to all the cities only associated with the current county. If I were to select a city, like, oh, I don't know, Mission Viejo, then only the cities or only the MLS areas associated with that city will appear. And if I only select the MLS area, then only the tracts or subdivisions associated with that area will appear. Now, I'm going to help you out. We can eliminate one of these choices, and that choice will be the county field. You do not need to select the county before selecting a city. As a matter of fact, I usually like to tell agents how many cities are in multiple counties here in California. Like how many Cerritos are in California? One. What county does it happen to be in? LA County, right? So in cases like this, we can actually skip choosing the county and immediately jump over to the city. Now we've got an issue here. If I don't select the county, I've got all the cities that CRMLS watches and has in the MLS data, which is more than 300 cities. Well, instead of me going up and down this list where I select a city, hold down my control key or command key to then scroll down somewhere else and pick out my multiple cities, right? What we're going to do is, I'm going to help you out. What we're going to do instead is that right underneath the city field, there is a white box here. In this white box, if I click in this white box, I can get my cursor to blink, and now I can actually type in the name of the city, like Cerritos. Now you'll notice that here, when I type in the city Cerritos, the city now appears gray. Now I do not need to come down below and click on the city. If I want to select the city of Cerritos, after I type in the name of the city, in this case Cerritos, I'm now going to follow it with a comma. When I do that, that means I've told the system that I have now officially selected the city of Cerritos. Now, at this point, I can type in more cities to run my search criteria. So, in the city field, I'm going to type in my city. I'm going to type a comma right after the city to select it. And now I'm just immediately going to type in the name of the next city. There will be no spaces in between the commas. So, in this case, I'm going to type in the city of Cerritos, follow it with a comma, and now I'm going to type in the name of the next city, which will be Lakewood. Follow it with a comma. So now you'll notice here that immediately down below at the matches, active properties in the city of Cerritos and Lakewood, we have 63 matches. If I were to take out Lakewood, we go down to 18 listings in the city of Cerritos that are currently active. So here what we can do is just type in as many cities as I want. So Lakewood, and separate them out with commas. So Cerritos, Lakewood, Linwood, comma, Los Angeles, comma, so on and so forth. So we can go in and type in as many cities as we want. And actually, I'm going to put in back in Linwood. This is how you want to work the city field. Now, obviously, with the number of cities that you type in, the more areas that you have available here for each and every one of those cities. But just remember that if I were to select one of these areas, like Carson Park, now what I've told the system to do is look for Carson Park in every city, which now all of a sudden there's only 2 listings in just one in Carson Park. Okay, so be mindful of that. And by the way, we will also go over a map search today if we have time. Are there any questions on the city field? Okay, none. All right. Next will be over here towards the far right, our price, our bedroom, bathroom, square footage, our number fields, basically. So say I have a client that's looking for a particular price. So maybe my client's looking for a property that's listed at 650,000. So here I'm just going to type in 650 followed by the 3 zeros. If you notice, no dollar sign, no commas, no decimal points or anything like that. I type in 650,000 and we notice that now active properties in Cerritos, Lakewood, and Linwood, my matches now immediately goes to 0. Well, why is that? It's because I'm telling the system that I want to look for properties at exactly, or that are listed at exactly $650,000. Now, what happens if I have a client that wants to look for everything above or below or in between? How do I get that in here into my price field? Well, this is where we're going to go back to our old keystrokes. So say my client wants to look for everything above 650,000 or below, excuse me. My client wants to look for everything above or below or in between. So say as an example, my client wants to look for properties $650,000 on down. What I'm going to do in the price field is type in 650,000 and follow it with the minus sign. When I do that, you notice that now we have 36 matches that are in Cerritos, Lakewood, and Linwood that are currently active under $650,000. Now, if I have a client that's wanting to look for properties that are above $650,000 or equal to or above, type in 650,000 and type in a plus sign right after. Now I have 40 matches that are 650,000 on up. But how often does a client give you the criteria, look for everything above, look for everything below? They very rarely, right? They typically tend to give you a price range, a low price, but no greater. This is my lowest price, but I don't want anything greater than my highest price, right? Well, what we're going to do here is that we're going to type in, say, the low number. So maybe in this case, my client wants to look for properties between 600,000. Now I'm going to put in the minus sign or dash and then put in my highest price, 750,000. So right away, I see that my number of matches currently active in Cerritos, Lakewood, and Linwood between $600,000 to $750,000, we've pulled 35 matches. This is how you want to type in your number fields. Now, I know not everybody's going to remember everything that we went over today on this, so real easy. If in case you forgot how to input a number field or how to put in information in a particular field, notice very quickly next to every searchable field there is a question mark. These question marks are help buttons. If you click on the help button, a little window is going to open up, and that little window basically tells you exactly what needs to go into that field and how to type it in. So if we notice here very quickly, for the price field, it's looking for a price. So you're just going to basically put in your numbers. So you can put in 350,000. That means that you're looking for exactly 350, but you got your plus, your minus, or your in between. So a real quick reminder for you, in case you ever get stuck, even on inputting a listing, click on the question mark next to the field, and it will tell you exactly what needs to go into that field and how to type it in. Now, there is one thing that people tend to get confused real quickly. By the way, you can do this for your price, your bedroom, your bathrooms, so on and so forth. Now, when it comes to your bathroom fields, you have several choices here under your bathrooms. You've got full baths, you've got half baths, 3/4, and of course, total. Now, this is where a lot of agents tend to get a little confused when it comes to the bathroom total field. The baths total field here indicates that how many of each bathroom type exists in the property, okay? If you were to type in, say, 2+ as an example under the total number of bathrooms or bath total, this means that we're looking for all property type or all bathroom types in a home that add up to 2 or more. So if I happen to go to my results screen and I might see a full bath with a 3/4 bath, that means I have a total number of bathrooms of 2. Now, just in case you did not know what's the difference between a full bath, a 3/4, a half bath, or a quarter bath, very simple. A full bath incorporates all 4 elements of a bathroom. The 4 elements being a shower, a tub, a sink, and a toilet. So all 4 components to make a full bathroom. A 3/4 bath has at least 3 components. It has either a shower or a tub, sink and toilet, or a shower or a shower stall, sink and toilet is a 3/4 bath, or it's just got a tub with a sink and toilet. So it's got 3 of the 4 elements. A half bath has basically 2 elements, typically a sink and a toilet. A quarter bath has only 1 of the 4 elements, typically a washroom or sink. Okay. One thing to probably remember or note, some sellers out there in the world like to remodel their bathrooms, and they like to take out the shower and tub stall or combination and make it just a shower stall only. Well, what they have actually done in that case is that they've downgraded their bathroom from a full bath to technically a 3/4 bath. So just be mindful of that. And I'll show you when we get to our results screen where to look for this type of number. So if you were to ever do bath total as 2+, you got to make sure that if your client's looking for 2 full bathrooms or more, do not put it in the bathroom total or baths total area. Put it in the full baths area, the number that they are actually looking for, okay? Because there will be many a time where you're going to scratch your head and go, well, why am I only pulling up 1 full bath and a half bath? That's a 1.5 bathroom property, right? You're right, it is, but it's 2 total bathroom types, 1 full and 1 3/4 or 1 half, totaling 2, okay? So at this point, once you've put in your criteria, we're now going to simply click on the results button. From here, we're going to look at our results. Very quickly here, we've got access to the MLS number. We can now simply click on the MLS number and look at the agent full report. We can look at all the photos. Just so you know, agents can upload up to 75 photos on their listings. Here we've got the property description, agent remarks, showing instructions, everything like that an agent needs in order to learn about this property. Now, once we go into the agent full report, we might need to go to the next listing, right? Well, we can do that in several ways. How we do that is very simply either here at the upper left-hand corner, clicking on the next button, which will now take us to the next property, still in the agent report. Or we can come all the way down to the bottom right and click next here to go to the next listing. Or you'll notice that at the bottom right, we've got a list of properties here in order 1 through 10 plus. Simply click on the next number to jump to the next listing or jump to a number in your list. Now, if you need to go back to the Agent One Line report to look at your list of properties, very simply, come up to the top middle where it says Agent One Line Display and click. This will now take you back to your Agent One Line displays to go to your next properties. So now you can very easily and quickly jump from one listing to the next. Now here on the Agent One Line report, one thing I wanted to bring to your attention is the BRBA. The BR stands for bedroom, the BA stands for bathroom. Here we see that we have pulled up 3-bedroom properties, or 3 to 1-bedroom properties, and in some cases 4. But the bathroom section has now got 4 different columns to look at. Here under the bathroom section, starting from left to right, we've got full baths, 3/4, half, and quarter baths. So what's nice about the Agent One Line report or display is that I can see immediately how many bedrooms and how many bathrooms and what bathroom types exist in the home. So as an example, I see here that one property is a 3-bedroom with a 1 full bath and 2 3/4 baths in the property. Total number of bathrooms are 3. Here we have a bathroom that's got 1 full and 1 half. We've got other properties that are 2 full baths, and another property that's a 1 full and 1 3/4 baths. So as the example that I given earlier about the bath total section, if we had put in 2+ here and then jump over to our results, you want to make sure that you look at your BRBA section or column to make sure that you select what properties you want to send to your clients. Now, another nice thing about the Agent One Line display is the list price field or column. Here we get to see the list price of the property. Here we see properties between the $600,000 to $750,000 range, but we notice that next to some of these have an up or down arrow. In this case, we see a lot of down arrows. These down arrows indicate that a price change or a price drop has happened within the past 48 hours. So we get to see that as an example that this property was lowered to $675,000. Now, what's nice about this is that instead of me going into the listing to try to see what the previous list price was on the property, what I can instead do from the Agent One Line display is come over to the arrow, and if I move my mouse on top of the arrow, I actually get to see what the previous list price was. So in the past 48 hours, at some point, this property that's listed currently at $675 lowered its price from $705,000. So basically a $30,000 or $20,000, a $30,000 price drop. Okay. Are there any questions on this? Okay. So say now I want to set up an auto email. Now what an auto email is that I'm going to send the search criteria to my client. So the initial properties that I find to the client, I'm going to send them these properties, but with an auto email, they are going to get any brand new properties that meet the search criteria from this day forward. So instead of me selecting individual properties to email under the Actions tool, email the selected properties, and then come tomorrow, rerun a search to now select new properties for a client. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set them up on an auto email. I want them to see the 30 properties today, but then I want them to get new properties on a regular basis. Okay. And how we do this is not select any properties whatsoever in my property list. Down below to the bottom left where it says actions, I'm going to come towards the right just a bit. And next to actions, there is a choice that says save. Now, when I select save, I have several choices here, one of which says new auto email. Now, before we set up a new auto email, I'm going to encourage every agent to always save their search. Now, why would you ever want to save a search? Well, what happens if I have another client in the future that is looking for the exact same style of information? Do I want to have to recreate a search for that new client? No. What I can do is make this a saved search, so that way I can apply this saved search to any future clients that I might have in the future. So before I make a new auto email, I'm going to come over to where it says new saved search, and I'm going to click. From here, I'm going to name the saved search. Now, some agents in the past used to name the property search their client's name. Einstein. There we go. But then maybe after Albert Einstein closes on a deal, how do I remember to apply or know what's in this saved search? I don't, right? Because I want to apply this saved search to future clients, my name of my saved search is going to be some of my criteria, like active, Cerritos, Lakewood, Linwood, 600K to 750K, and maybe 3-bed, 2-bath, just like so. Now, I also am not going to tie my saved search to a client. But underneath the contact choice here, there is a button here that says enable this as a favorite. Now, if you recall in the beginning of our webinar, I talked about the widget on the home screen called favorite searches. Well, while I'm actively working with this client, I want to enable this as a favorite search. That way I can look at the criteria anytime I log into the MLS, say from one day to the next, to make sure my client has gotten new properties, or to see if there are any new properties just in case my client didn't go into their auto email. So here what I'm going to do very quickly is make this a favorite search, and now I'm just going to hit save. Now once I hit save, I'm now going to be taken to my agent one line report again, where I can now go back and create my new auto email. But before we do that, I'm now going to immediately jump over to my home screen and show you the favorite search widget. So here under my favorite search widget, we notice that I have several saved searches that I created and made as my favorites. Very easy. All I need to do at this point is say, maybe I got a call from a client looking in Irvine and Costa Mesa between 950 to 1 million. Now, instead of me jumping over to where it says search and make a new search, because I've made this my favorite search widget, all I need to do is just simply click on the name of the saved search. And it now reruns my criteria and displays the information. Now, what's also nice about this is that, say, I haven't heard from the client that I've sent an auto email to for maybe 2 or 3 days. And I'm just kind of curious as to, geez, I wonder if my client has been getting any properties. Well, if I come over to my favorite search widget and I just click on the name of the saved search, it reruns all my criteria. And we see here, there are 40 properties here in this search. Well, if I happen to notice that yesterday there was 20, how do I see what are the new properties between yesterday and today? This is where the favorite search widget really is going to shine. Here in the favorite search widget, there is a choice that says Update All. What this will do is it will run simultaneously all my favorite searches, and it will display a number of how many properties have come on the market since the last time I ran that search. So if I click on Update All, the system now refreshes and it shows that one of my searches since the last time I ran it has gotten 38 new properties since the last time I ran that search. So if it's been a day or two since I ran the search or looked at it, I can see that my client should have gotten in an auto email 38 brand new properties. Now, instead of clicking on the name where I see a bunch of properties, I just want to see the newest, the 38. Click on where it says 38 new, and now I'm going to be only displayed those 38 properties. So now I can give the agent or my client a call. Hey, Bob. Hey, Steve. Hey, Joanne. I noticed that I haven't heard from you in a couple of days. I looked at your auto email and I noticed that you've gotten at least 38 properties since the last time I spoke. You might want to go into your auto email and look at those homes, right? Now, just to show you what I, real quickly here, that we're just not pulling up just 38 homes. And it looks like MLS delayed just a little bit for me here. And I apologize. By the way, are there any questions so far? No? Okay, good. So real quickly here, next to where it says 38, I'm just going to click on the saved search here. And we see that there are 41 properties. So 38 of these 41 are new properties that I have not seen before in any of my searches. Okay. Now, the reason why the newest search, the active Cerritos, Lakewood, Linwood, 650 or 600 to 750, there have been no properties. Well, I just recently created it. So since the time I just created it to now, there have been no new homes. So from here, now after I've made it a safe search, I now need to create a new auto email. So I want to get my client these 30 homes plus any new homes this day forward. So how we're going to do that, come back below to actions, click on save. Now under save, next to say new save search, we're going to now create a new auto email. When I click on new auto email, I'm now going to follow the prompts to create a new auto email for our client. Very easy. We're going to start with the contact. Click on the down arrow and access your contacts in your contact list in MLS. If this is a brand new client and that contact does not exist here in your list, very simply click on where it says create a new contact. When we click on create a new contact, now input the required information. The required information will be first name, last name, and their email address. Now, it's important to know a person's first name and last name. Why? Because you got to put their names on a contract. Can't just say Bob Zillow lead. Not to mention, you're building rapport with this potential client, especially if they're a new client. So it's important to know their first name and last name. So make sure that you type that in. Now put in their email address. It's important to know their email address. Why? Because you need to email them criteria, right? They want information from the MLS and they want you to email it to them, then they need to make sure that they give you a real live email. Without all three components here, we can't create the contact. So make sure that the client has a valid email address that they've given to you. And of course, they've given you their first name and last name. Now at this point, we can hit save. Next, the subject. Now, most of us probably get lots of emails each and every day, right? Especially emails that have a generic subject line. One type of subject line to avoid is this. Here are properties that you requested. Reason why you want to avoid this type of subject line is nowadays your consumers are probably working with more than one agent. And if that agent and their other agent and you all have the same subject line, it's very easy for a consumer to either ignore your email or immediately delete it, dismiss it as spam. This is where we need to shine as agents and make our subject lines to the most important email that they need to get, which is property information, stand out. So what I would suggest is customize or personalize the subject line a little bit. So maybe we go, hi Al, here are the properties you need or that you requested from your agent, Anthony. Here we've greeted Al. Each email that we're going to send them, we're greeting Al each and every day. We're reminding Al who we are by giving him his name or our name. Maybe we even go a little bit further and say, your friendly agent, Anthony. So make that subject line stand out. Personalize it a little bit. Now, down below, you have a welcome email. Under the welcome email is a very generic email, basically explaining what the client should do by clicking on the link to activate the portal, and of course, selecting their favorites, possibilities, and trash. Now we can modify this welcome email message by simply clicking the box and now taking out what we don't like or adding in things that we do. What I would do is make it a little personal, but make sure that you leave in the instructions of clicking on the following link, and then of course, making sure that they select their favorites, their possibilities, and of course, they're discarded. Just because a client gets an auto email, you have to understand what they like or dislike. So it's very important that they select their favorites and of course, their trash. If they don't trash any properties or discard any properties, the 30 properties that we send today, if they get 10 more tomorrow, they're seeing 40. If they get 10 more the next day, now they're seeing 50 and 60 and 100 before you know it. And then, of course, they're going to give you a call and say, hey, why are you sending me the same properties over and over again? That's because they have to do some work. The client has to help you understand what properties they want to see. So they really need to select the heart icon if they really like a property, or their trash icon to get rid of the property. You do not do that for them, okay? Because funny enough, a lot of times the properties that they discard, they end up liking in the end. So we should not do that for them. Now, by the way, besides the welcome message, there's also a reoccurring email message that goes out to them. Make sure that you customize this a little bit to stand out, okay? Next, more importantly, the settings and schedule. How often they are to get the auto email. Now you have a choice between 4 choices. You have a choice between 4 choices. The first is the concierge. The concierge mode basically says that you as the agent have to approve properties first before the client gets them. So what happens here in the concierge mode is that you as an agent will get an email of the list of properties to approve them to go to the client. Now, this choice is really good if your client has certain special needs or wants that just really aren't in the MLS. Like as an example, I have a client that wants a backyard with a west-facing flower bed. Well, who's going to type that in on a listing? Not very many agents, right? So the concierge mode in that case will be very helpful because this will allow me to review the properties first, select the ones that I know for sure have that backyard with a west-facing flower bed, and now once I approve the selected, that client will only get those selected homes. Now, Is the concierge mode necessarily good for every client? No. So you want to be picky and choose, or you want to be picky in choosing who you need to actually go over specifically listings for, right? Because if you did concierge mode for every client, that's what you would be doing all day long, getting emails, approving listings to then send them out to a client, okay? So I would avoid that. So if you don't do concierge mode, not a problem. Then we're going to go with our standard schedules. So the second choice under schedule or scheduling would be ASAP. ASAP means as soon as something meets the criteria, an email is generated within in the first 20 minutes to the client. Really great for a seller's market, right? Not as much property on the market right now, very little inventory. Homes are going off the market like hotcakes. So it's important that our clients get to know the properties, right? Back in 2013 was a great example of this. Agents were not, or agents' clients were not getting the properties fast enough to see them before the property was off the market. I do believe at the time, listings had a cumulative days on market of less than 10 days. Usually an agent would put on a listing and by the second day, they'd have 50 offers. Okay. So if we're in a seller's market like we kind of are now, where property information is vital to get to a client, then maybe ASAP will be a good thing to choose. But remember, this sends out an individual email for each and every property that comes on the market. So if, say, throughout the entire day, there were 20 listings that came on the market today, that means that there are 20 emails all accessing one portal to the client. Now, I'm sure we've all experienced this where if you've gotten multiple emails from one source multiple times, what do we end up doing? We either A, unsubscribe, or B, block the email sender. So that's kind of a danger, right? That if your client's getting multiple emails throughout the entire day, that may frustrate them to all of a sudden get them to block you. So you may want to use that ASAP schedule very sparingly, but that's okay. We have some other choices here. The second choice would be daily. If I select the daily email, right now it says that the daily email goes out once a day in the morning around 6 a.m. But I can say, well, I don't want it to send out in the morning, but I want to send it out in the evening for the client. So I can select all PM. So they get one email a day around 6 p.m., give or take an hour or two. Or I can send them 2 emails a day, one in the morning and one at night or in the evening. Or I have another choice. Maybe my client only looks at their email once or twice a week. Well, now I can have them tell me what days of the week, at what times around they look at their emails. Now, the third choice is monthly. The monthly email choice basically says that they get one email the first of the month at midnight. Now, I know a lot of agents, and I know what you're probably thinking. Why would you ever send a monthly email to a client? Well, maybe your client, being a buyer, is not ready to buy right now, but they're ready to buy in 6 to 9 months. And if you've ever been an agent long enough in the business that if you have a client that tells you they're ready to buy in 6 to 9 months, I guarantee you that at some point they'll find a property sooner than waiting, right? So what's nice about the monthly email is that I'm going to keep the buyer lukewarm by sending them property information not every day or not every week, but maybe every month to keep them top of mind and keep me top of mind about what's going on in the market. Now, the monthly email is also really good for a seller who's thinking about selling their home, but not right now. Maybe there are 5 or 6 homes in their immediate neighborhood, 2 of which are their neighbors, and they're not wanting to have competition. Well, maybe this is a good email choice for your seller to give them a market update monthly, because they don't need to see something going on every day or as soon as possible, right? They just need to see what's been happening in their neighborhood monthly. So this is a great email choice for a potential seller. So that way, that key moment that next month, when they get that email and they see that there are no current active listings in their neighborhood, they now hopefully will reach out to you and want to list. So the monthly email is really good to, keep buyers warm, and of course, keep seller or have you top of mind to potential sellers. Okay. Whatever you decide, whatever schedule you decide you want to do for your client, now come down below and click save. The moment you hit save, the initial welcome email message will go out to the client, say within an hour, and then the client will then click on the email, look at the welcome message, click on the link in the welcome message to then activate their portal. Now they'll get properties hopefully on a regular basis, however you've set them up. Now, how you know that they've been in their portal? Back here at the home screen, under the recent portal visitors, we actually get to see that activity. So we get to see here that Fred Durst, my client, went into their portal on March 20th and that he selected 4 properties as his favorites. So what's nice about this is that I see that my client Fred, when they last went into their portal and what they did. So if I haven't heard from Fred, or what I need to do is look at this on a daily basis for my active clients. And if I see that they have selected properties as their favorite, what's nice about this is that I can now go, instead of calling my client and going, all right, Fred, what properties you liked or did you like? Simply click on the MLS number or on the heart or the number next to the heart icon. Let me rephrase that. Here on the portals, if I want to see the properties that they've selected as their favorites, click on the number next to the heart. And now I get to see what properties they selected as their favorites. And because I'm logged into the MLS under my own ID, I can open up the listing and look at the agent full report. Whereas the client in the portal does not get to see showing instructions or agent information. I am point of contact. So what's nice about this is that now, noticing that Fred had selected several properties as his favorites, I can now immediately give Fred a call and say, Fred, I say that you selected 4 properties as your favorites today. Would you like me to set up some appointments for tomorrow to go and see those homes? So this now keeps you actively involved in your clients' lives, because the common complaint that everybody hears from consumers is, or clients, is that their agent never communicates. One thing that a lot of agents do is that they'll set a client up on an auto email and then never contact the client to follow up. This is a great follow-up tool with a client. And let me just show you what I mean by that. So say as a client get an auto email from my agent, and we'll pull up my email here, and hopefully I've got an auto email ready to go into, and yes, I do. When they go into their portal and they select properties as their favorites, as an example, okay, back in the MLS, when I go to log in, I immediately get to see that Fred Durst just accessed his portal 2 minutes ago. I now see that he selected 2 properties as his favorite. So now I can click on those 2 properties, or that number 2, and see these 2 listings. So now I can immediately give Fred a call and say, hey, Fred, I noticed about 3 or 4 minutes ago, you just selected some properties as your favorite from your auto email. Would you like me to set up some showings for tomorrow, or for Friday, or for Saturday? So what I love about the auto email is that you can now, and of course the favorites, or getting your clients to select their favorites, is that now you can stay in constant contact with your active clients to be able to go out and see homes. That's how easy this is. Are there any questions regarding anything that we went over today? I know we're about an hour into our webinar. So you guys have any questions? How to run a search, how to do the auto email, how to do the auto save? No? Well, if there are no questions, I want to thank everybody for attending today's webinar. I hope you've enjoyed today and learned lots of great information. Oh, well, thank you very much. If you have any questions, please feel free to give me a call. I can be reached at 949-586-6800. My extension is 104. Or you can feel free to email me at Tony, Tony, at ocar.org. Or you can give the board a call at 562-860-5656. Or you can contact Marcel Johnson at MARCELJ at RSAOR.com. We both look forward to hearing from you soon, and I hope you have a really great evening. Bye-bye.